Okay, so my name's Lloyd Edmondson. I'm the Business Development Director at Austral Group and have been working with the company for the last 12 years since we founded it. I'm based in Santiago, and that's where our Latin American headquarters are, and have a lot of regular travel back and forth to the United States, where we also have our San Francisco office. Well, with the expansion that we had in North America, principally through our San Francisco office, we've been able to offer a lot of our European and Asian, Australasian clients diverse range of locations, so that when they're students who maybe don't have as much experience in the United States, they have that option as well as going to Latin America, and so it's given a much more diverse array of locations. Also, we're seeing it that Silicon Valley, San Francisco is just such a hot spot for students looking to understand the entrepreneurial environment there and the different business opportunities that they can face in the future. So it's given us just that versatility to be able to operate in various different locations and different academic themes, because everyone in the world is looking to replicate how successful these Silicon Valley companies have been, and trying to understand the essence of that is really key for the MBA students these days. Well, we hear from a lot of the CEOs that talk to our groups that everybody's demanding a global workforce enables much easier integration when employees are moving from one country to the other, and it has just enormous benefits overall in the workplace if you have experience having lived and worked abroad, or even having visited. Even in the case of our study trips, really what we're trying to do is give students a taste of what it's like to do business in either an emerging economy like in Latin American countries or in developed economies like in the United States. And even these days, with some of the recent changes in USA, managers are having to keep on their toes and be able to adapt their strategies accordingly. And so there's a lot of learning that can happen as a result of just a 2.5-hour discussion with a CEO about how they're having to change their company's strategy in the face of some of these more global reforms and changes that they're seeing these days. We're all human beings still, and there's nothing like the touch and the hearing and the smells of going to a new city, whether it's the buzz of Sao Paulo or the madness of Buenos Aires in the evenings. But when you go in person to a location, it's a very different experience to reading about it. You really get to see the culture of the country firsthand, and it's not like it is in the books, because anything can happen any day when you travel or in business, and to actually go to the country and see that is really kind of the key to learning about the places that you're doing business with. I also think that it offers students an opportunity, because at the end of the day they may have to move and work in a foreign country, and if you are going to make that big leap with your family or alone, there is nothing like actually going to experience the city firsthand and see if it's the place for you or not, and if the business culture is the place for you or not. And you can't get that through unfortunately a video or anything else like that. You've really got to go and experience it, and so that's what we're trying to achieve for the study trips, is to give students exposure to what it would be like to either do trade or work and live in a country which is unknown to them. I mean, that's a key question. So every time a business school is looking at where in the world to travel, there's a number of factors you have to consider. First of all, what are the academic goals of the course? Is it an entrepreneurship course? Is it finance? And then there are certain cities in the world that can deliver that content. If you're looking at finance in Latin America, Sao Paulo, Santiago are the big hubs for that. If you're looking at the entrepreneurial scene, then Chile in particular has had a lot of success with Startup Chile and a lot of the incubator accelerators which have been developing there, as well as Silicon Valley, San Francisco. One thing that we're doing to actually propel the students in this area is to actually set up live consulting projects with startup companies throughout Latin America. We've been able to do this by tapping into our own business network, and we have 120, 150 startups who are desperate to work with foreign MBA students to give them some different insight into the industry that they're growing in. And so what we're doing is they spend probably about 2 months prior to arrival in country virtually talking via video, like you asked before, about the scope of the projects, the company's challenges or opportunities that they're facing. And then they have an entire week just with that one company on the ground in a team of 5 students. And this is creating a complete immersion experience, because You're working with people that you've never met before for an entire week. It's not like a typical traditional business meeting where you can hop from one company to the next and that's that. You have to provide a really good report to these companies at the end of it. So they're learning to be consultants, but at the same time they're really getting the full experience of that culture because they're there from 9 till 5 every day. And so I see that the consultant experience being kind of the full immersive experience that schools are looking for, and that's something that we've been able to replicate on a larger scale than several years before. And it's definitely, I think, the part of the future of business for MBA students is to get that kind of experience when they travel. So in contacting Austral Group, they'll be put in touch with a specialist of the countries that they're looking to visit. Our team is segregated, that we have our USA experts, we have our Brazil experts, our Peru, Colombia, Cuba experts. And so once they've been assigned to the right person who knows that country like the back of their hand, they'll then work with the professors and the directors to identify, is that the right time of year to travel? A really typical faux pas that a lot of directors make is that certain countries just don't work at certain times of year. Whether it's Carnival in Brazil or there's manufacturing conferences in Argentina, there's a certain period when it's really optimal for students to go to certain countries from a cost perspective and from a business meetings perspective. And so once you've identified the right time of year and the right country, and also the theme of the program, that's when we'd start to do all of our due diligence on the availability of the hotels, speakers, and everything else linked to the logistics of the program. And from that moment onwards, we generally talk very closely with the professors who will share their curriculum goals, and then we'll make sure that the business meetings that the students have are directly related to the curriculum goals. Because again, if the student's going to travel 11 hours on a plane, you really have to ensure that they're learning something very different in Latin America or United States than they would do back in the classroom. So there's a lot of pressure on our team to make sure we can fulfill those expectations. And it really does come down to ensuring the best speakers who can share the right knowledge with the students. And so it takes a lot of due diligence on our end to make sure that that's the case. So I have to give it to Amber that you choose some terrific spots around the world, and it's been a very exciting experience to see Dubai in full growth at the moment, and the location of the conference in this hotel and the setting that we've had for the events has been spectacular. So it's enabled us to talk to fellow-minded directors and professors from all over the world who maybe don't have as much knowledge about the locations where we operate in. But the setting's certainly been, perfect for that, because there've been a lot of networking opportunities, and just overall, the experience has been terrific, in my opinion.